Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fearless Flight Live once again. And Dieter and I are really glad you showed up tonight. And whether you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube, welcome. You're in the right place. This is the only weekly live show dedicated entirely to fear of flying, except when maybe Dieter and I go down a rabbit hole now and then. But anyway, but we definitely try to talk honestly about anxiety, panic, turbulence and the thoughts that show up around flying. And more importantly, how we found a way that actually helps. And if you're new here, I'm Captain Ron, and this is my trusted First Officer, Dieter Staudinger. And for many years, we've been helping people understand what's really going on when fear shows up. Not just talking about airplanes, although we love to talk about airplanes and aerodynamics and stuff. What's more important, we found, is helping you understand what it is that's going on with you. And if you've been here before, welcome back. We're really glad you chose to spend another evening with us. And before we get started, let's take a minute and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And if this is your first time or you're a regular, this is supportive, judgment-free space. So you don't have to be a fearless to be willing to learn. And tonight we're going to talk about things that matter to fearful flyers. We're going to we'll break what's going on in your mind and body, and we'll hopefully share some practical tools that you can use, and more importantly, help you feel less alone in this process. So get comfortable, take a breath, and settle in. You made it, you're safe, and you're just one flight away. So let's get started. Let me share my screen and get this show on the road. Okay, tell me, Dieter, that worked out.
Yep, it did.
Okay, so welcome once again. Here we go. Of course, the first thing that we do is we like to invite any of you who have not yet joined our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather group. Whether you're starting...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just to say, whether you're just getting started or you've already taken a few steps and you want to get some continuing support. It's a safe, private space filled with a lot of people who get it and get you. And Dieter's got a few comments related to the group.
Well, because we've been doing this live show for this is our 9th season now, and I want to do a big shout out to John Ilyev. He was one of the pilot students when we, during the pandemic, took the Cleared for Takeoff 201 class and put it online from, before we did it at Phoenix and sometimes Air Hollywood. But this was the first online iteration of the Cleared for Takeoff 201, and it became a course, an online course. And John was one of the first students, and that was a couple of years ago. And he is flying, he is sharing, and that is, I just want a big shout out to him because he's giving back into the community. And if you ever have any questions, John's one of those amazing people and resources in our Facebook group that you just gotta muster the courage and reach out, because these people are all there to support you in your goal to overcome your fear of flying.
Yeah, well put, Dieter. And that is the heart of the group, is people helping each other. So further, if you're a member of the group, just put a note in there, say I'm in. And if you got any experiences, feel free to share them. Yeah, I called last week, or I put a post in there last week. I put a couple of posts in this week myself. I try to go in there at least weekly to write some general encouragement for people who have shared their experiences up there. So go ahead and let us know if you're in the group and if you found it to be helpful, because that's what we're here for. So here's what we'll be covering tonight. We'll start with our quick welcome here, and I've got a real world story about somebody that I've been working with this week and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into it. And the title is When Progress Meets a Setback, something that many of you experience. This isn't about, 2 steps forward and then 3 steps forward. It's about 2 steps forward and 1 step back sometimes. And after we get done talking about this case study, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about aviation safety, why it is so doggone safe to fly, and will help ground your fear in facts and perspective instead of apprehension. And as always, we'll wrap up with your questions and comments and what you need to do most right now. So right now, just settle in, take a breath, and let's get started. Like I said, I titled this Fearless Flight Live Case Study, When Progress Meets Setback. And tonight, I want to share with you, this is a real world case study from the coaching practice that we have. And it points out just how real this is for some people. And hopefully you'll be able to identify with that. And I've taken all the identifying details out of the client, but the experience is very real and it's really current. It just happened this week. And the story is not about failure. It's about progress and how it actually works. So here we go. This client has been working with me for I'm going to say between 6 months and a year. She had an upcoming flight which she successfully prepared for. She used the harmonizer. She also did a custom guided visualization. I created that, made a script from our coaching sessions and personalized it for her. And she's shown up, she's practiced, and she's had real wins. And that's an important context to remember, because this setback didn't come from someone who hasn't tried. It came from someone who has. And so keep that in mind as we go forward tonight. What stood out to me wasn't the fear, it was the self-judgment afterwards. And this is one of the things that if you've ever talked to me and had a disappointment, how I really, really, really encourage you not to beat on yourself. And because the disappointment should be past this, or their disappointment came from thinking that they should be past this by now, this kind of thinking. And this is where many people struggle, not during the moment of fear, but afterwards. And it's just incredibly causes people to backslide. Our brains are meaning-making machines. We use narrative to try to make sense out of things that happen to us, and interpretation. When something like this happens, we feel fear. When it happens, we feel fear, and we have to interpret it. And often, we interpret it harshly. The moment we either move forward or we pull away. And that's one of the most destructive things that causes people to falter. And when you have an experience like this, it's important to reframe it. The moment doesn't erase the growth and the progress that you've made. It reveals where care and support are needed, and you need to create some recovery loops. It revisits the old pathways when your stress increases, and that doesn't mean that you're back at the beginning. It just means that it's a momentary setback, and avoidance signals where support is needed. So don't give up the ship. And I tell people often, the most important thing that you can do is to not ever give up and to be persistent. And here's some of the key takeaways that came from this particular person. And I thought about sharing the 2 text messages that I got from her, and I thought, no, that's a little too personal for this. I want to still give you the essence of what happened. And the first thing was she approached me, which I encourage everybody to do. You got my cell phone number. You got and you can text me or call me on that. Even up until the time you're on the airplane, you can text me in this day and age. But that's what this person did. And so she texted me. She told me she was having some doubts, and it wasn't that long of a flight. It's about an hour and a half. And then I wrote her some encouraging words, and she thanked me for that. And then I didn't hear back from her for a couple of days. And then it came in and she wrote me a follow-up and said, "Oh man, I feel terrible. I didn't make it." She had to watch her husband and her children get on the airplane, and she waved them goodbye from the airport. And some of you, many of you out there know how painful that is. And I felt so bad for her. And what I did is I encouraged her to next time give me a call if you're staying in there in the terminal and you're having those kinds of second thoughts. Go ahead and reach out, because sometimes that's all it takes, is just someone to give you a little bit of hope. So, like I said, if you've had a moment like this person, you're not alone, and it doesn't disqualify you. The goal is not to never feel fear. It's to stop letting fear define you. And that's the most important thing. So I hope that's been helpful. And the next thing we want to talk about tonight, we want to talk about, we touched on the topic for this month's live monthly group coaching webinar, talking about panic attacks. And we're gonna do a deep dive on this. And this is coming up this Thursday, or not this Thursday, but a couple weeks, Thursday, January 29th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to talk in depth about panic and anxiety and give you some guidelines on what to do. It's going to be some live coaching. We'll have anyone who wants to join us. We'll be there live. And there is a replay. And if that's all you can do, I encourage you to register for it as well. But it's really helpful to be there live. And like I said, we're going to take a deep dive into panic and anxiety and show you how to apply these tools and help build confidence one step at a time, all in a supportive, interacting environment. So I hope you'll join us. And if you had a moment where you're worried about a panic attack, you're not alone. It is the number one event that people report to me that keeps them either in fear or keeps them from flying.
Ron,
yeah, go ahead.
there's a question of just, and you can answer it or I can answer it. How is the group coaching session different from this weekly live call? So,
well, the weekly live calls you're on now, all we have right now is we have you all putting comments either in YouTube or Facebook, and then Dieter's there monitoring them. Dieter and I have struggled with this for a long time. We tried at a time to come up to use a phone line, and I still have a phone line access. We would love to get people to call in live on the show, but it just seemed to be a little bit too intimidating. And I expect with the changes that we're making on the website, that maybe we'll be able to go back to that in the upcoming months. But the session itself, the live coaching session, it's a Zoom meeting. So you are in the room with us, and you can act anytime you want. We can hold up to 500 people. That would be a little crazy. We haven't approached those limits yet, but we would love to have you live. And the biggest difference is that it is live and interactive. I talk to members of the class. And we do a couple of meditations, guided visualizations during each class, which you will have access to that as well as the replay. And you can get your questions answered. And we always have a part, usually at the beginning, where we have the opportunity that you can meet other people, other fearful flyers like yourself. And that we found over the years that is the most important thing when fearful flyers get together, is to be able to share their experiences with other people who understand what it's like. And so I hope that helps to explain the difference between the weekly show like this, where there's just me and Dieter talking to you or at you, and the monthly live coaching sessions, you can actually participate. We do charge for them, and we tried to make it nominal. We've tried to group it in there, and this is what the costs look like. There's three ways to get into this. One is if you are an active member of the Cleared for Takeoff 201 online course, that's a 60-day subscription, and you get to attend the two webinars that would occur during that 60 days. If you want to just try it one time, normally we charge $47 for a one-time event. You still get access to the replay of the coaching session. And Dieter and I wanted to do something to get the new year started off, especially with the topic being panic attacks and how to deal with them. So we've dropped the price to $26 for getting your 2026 off on the right foot. So you can join, you can try it out if you've never been before. You can see what it's like, see if you liked it, and get access to the replay. And then the other way, which we highly recommend, is joining the Fearless Flyer Club, and there'll be links to each one of these in the show notes. And the thing about the Fearless Flyer Club, you can get it every month for $37. So if you can continue to be a member, and you can cancel at any time. And once you join the club, you get access to not only the upcoming one that you're registering for, but you'll get other benefits that are highlighted if you take a look at this link, and you get access to all of the last 9 years of replays on these things. And so we think that that's probably the best deal, and that you can join at 2 levels. One is $37, and then we have a $57 membership level. And what do you get that's so super about the $57 is you get access to the Fearless Flight Kit. And that's something that normally sells for $197. So you get a way to get into our pocketbooks and save yourself about $150 by joining the Fearless Flyer Club at the $57 a month level. And you can downgrade, or you can drop out and at any point in time. And before we wanted to wrap up tonight, I wanted to show you these ways there. So
hold on, let me just share what Joan just said. My call with you last week got me back on track. I'm not even thinking of the flight to Miami, and I love that. And then she says there should be a Fearful Flyer section of the airplane. Well, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we've had some clever thoughts. We thought once that they dedicate a whole section like the premium or first class, and they put in like when you go to the grocery store, if you have if you've ever seen the little carts, the plastic cars that they attach to the shopping carts. We thought if Fearful Flyer seats, if they would attach a little plastic cockpit makeup, and we'd give you assignments to do there, make you feel more important and more integral, and give you something to do to occupy your mind. But yeah, I really believe that, Joan, that if airlines acknowledge them, and they really don't. There's nobody in the U.S. that does anything that addresses fear of flying formally. And worldwide, used to be some airlines in Europe that did it, but the only ones that I'm aware of, British Airways has a limited program that they offer a couple of times a year in New York, I think, and in London, and then not ValueJet, EasyJet. EasyJet has a program that's pretty extensive. And it's a profit center for them, but you have to go to England to the various locations in order to participate. So I wish more people did. And I'll answer a collateral question here. When I was at some point last week, someone asked me, do the airlines train the flight attendants to deal with people who have fear of flying? And the answer is no, they really don't. Now, flight attendants, after years of experience and working with people who are anxious, they learn how to identify some of them sometimes, and they do their best efforts to comfort people and put people at ease. But when it comes to training, I can tell you, because I was in training for about 20 out of my 30 years in the airlines, and there is no formal training for that. One of the benefits I had is, after I had been working with Fearful Flyers for about 15 years and got into training, and I taught recurrent for both pilots and flight attendants, I passed this information on to them: what to do, how to make announcements, how to make sure that when you make an announcement to your passengers about turbulence or about fastening their seatbelts, how to always close it with some reassurance. Don't leave people hanging thinking that oh my God, this turbulence that comes up must be so bad because they're having the flight attendant sit down, that this must, might be lead to their last need for last rites and all that. But formally, people do not do that. That's why we recommend that when you go to fly, you identify yourself to the gate agent, and then early board, and when you get down there, identify yourself to the flight attendant as someone who is a little nervous about flying, and ask to meet the pilots. That's the single most important thing that we can recommend that you do. And related to identifying yourself at the gate, I had a couple of questions this week. Southwest Airlines this month on January 27th, they are changing from their long established first come, first serve. It's kind of no seat assignment when you get on. They are going to formally start assigning seats. And so when I had my last class at the airport, I asked the supervisor at Southwest about how this would affect people who were going to try to early board. And he said, well, I don't think there'll be a need for it. And I differed with him, because the need stays just the same for you to want to get on and pre-board. So I'm recommending to people, you do the same thing on Southwest and all the airlines. When you get to the gate, you say, hi, I've got a medical condition. I need extra time boarding the airplane. And with that, they should put you in the area where they put the wheelchair people on first, and that should take care of it. And then again, once you get down there, identify yourself to the flight attendant that you're a little nervous, help take some of the pressure off of you, and let he or she know that you might need a little attention during the flight, or at least acknowledgement, and ask to meet the pilots. So I continue doing the same thing on Southwest after the 27th. We'll see what happens. But I don't see any problem, because even though you've got a pre-assigned seat, when you fly in any of the other airlines with pre-assigned seats, you still have the option of saying, hey, I'd like to board early because I need extra time boarding. So, okay. Anything else on that, Dieter? Come and join us this month.
Yeah,
We'd love to
I
have
was
you.
literally just here. There's a message from Anne. Anne says, Anne is from New York, and she said, I'm in a setback period right now because of my last flight. I need another conversation with you because I have a flight scheduled for February 12th, and I don't know if I can get on a flight. So I guess the 60-minute
Okay.
coaching call before my last flight a few months ago was so helpful. I can relate to your topic tonight because I feel terrible about myself because of this fear. And before I let you get into it, Ron, I just want to say that this is exactly why we have these monthly group coaching calls. And Ron mentioned before 9 years of replays. I think it's only 4 for the group coaching calls, but there are literally over 50 sessions available to you if you either join the Fearless Flyer Club or take the 201 class. And this is really it, because most of us don't fly often enough, so we don't get the practice. So some people, stay really active in our Birds of a Feather Facebook group, and that kind of keeps them exposed to all the things that we're sharing. But that's exactly why we created the monthly group coaching calls, as a means to stay current, to actually work on our triggers, right? And
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
be there, recognizing that you're not alone in this, and you have support. So
Yeah, well put, Dieter. And we do that. We try to create a forum for people to ask questions at least once a week, and in detail. I don't know if Dieter will be able to put the link to a coaching session in there, but if you don't, just hit us with an email, Captain Ron at fearlessflight.com, and it's abbreviated CAPTRON at fearlessflight.com. or if Dieter's able to put the link in the show
Yep,
notes, if
I'll
you
put
can
the
go,
link.
you can go right to my schedule and you can put yourself up there. I would be more than happy to help you out. Okay. Okay. So let's head off to the last item on my agenda. Let's talk about aviation safety. And I know you hear me talk about this all the time, but it seems like there's just no limit to how much people need to review in their minds to counter that negative self-talk, those negative cognitions we had, just how safe flying is. And I call this what the numbers really say. And want to take a minute to go to explain why I go through these safety numbers with you. It's not to overwhelm you with statistics, because those are kind of hard for us to grasp sometimes. Or it's and to be sure, I'm not trying to talk you out of your fear, not at any point. But I want to give you a rational part of your brain, that rider part of your brain that we talk about, something solid to stand on when the fear just screams at you, like it did to our case study subject this past week. Commercial aviation today is extremely safe, and it continues to get safer. Literally, if you just take a cursory survey on the internet and look at how many fatal accidents there were worldwide back in 1950, 1960, 1970, you will see that it gets safer and safer and safer. And it's the safest way to travel on the planet. And there's global safety organizations. It's not just the FAA. There's ICAO, which is the international equivalent of the FAA, and they track aviation or commercial flights worldwide. And when you look at the long-term trend, you see fewer accidents per flight decade after decade, as I mentioned, even as the number of flights increasing. There's twice as many people flying now as when I started my commercial airline career in 1978. Twice as many. I mean, it's incredible. 100,000, 105,000 plus flights, takeoffs and landings every day in the world. And you just don't see the evidence of them crashing because they don't. And here's odds that I got from Arnold Barnett, a tenured professor emeritus at MIT, and who started researching the statistics of flying safety because of his own fear. And years ago, he said that it's gotten so safe that your odds of dying in a commercial flight are 1 in 33.2 million. That's worldwide, okay? Worldwide. And he said in the United States, despite the accident, the fatal accident in January of last year, about a year ago, your odds of dying in a commercial plane crash are 1 in 100 million. And then I know somebody's out there, if not everybody's saying, but you didn't say 0 in 100 million, Ron. You said 1. And that's because our brains do not process probabilities very well. What they do process is possibilities. And that's the reason why it's hard to get that out of your mind. But flying today is statistically safer than ever before in history. And whether you're compliant, and when you compare that to driving, it's striking. Per mile, the difference is striking, because the per mile difference between flying and driving is hundreds of times riskier than flying. I tell people in the classes, the riskiest thing you'll do when you leave my classes at the airport at night is drive home. So if that's true, why does flying frighten people? Why does it feel scarier? And the reason is because plane accidents are rare. Mm-hmm. But when they happen, they're heavily covered. They're all over the news. And the more fatal, the more extenuating the circumstances, the more heavily they are covered in the media. And our brains are wired to overreact to rare dramatic events. You can look at that throughout our political spectrum right now. The most isolated things are often the most reported. And the more bizarre they are sometimes as well. So, and the bottom line is it causes us to feel a loss of control. And control is the bottom line for all of life, particularly when it comes to wanting to get on an airplane and feeling safe about it. The important thing to remember is this: what feels dangerous isn't the actual risk. It's how your brain interprets it. It's not the risk. It's what the story you tell yourself about the risk. You're not ignoring danger when you fly. You're trusting one of the safest systems that human beings have ever built in their lives, and that's just the way it is. So I'll turn it over to Dieter one last time, see if we have any other comments. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up here.
No, I just put the URL for the coaching discount on January 29th. So if you want to join us, instead of $47, it's just $26. And the link is right in the chat. Would love to have you. And one of the things that you maybe didn't quite put forward as much, one of the things that are super transformative in these coaching sessions is that it's really intimate. It's really
Yeah.
a session where you're not, here we're sharing, but it's like talking at you. But the group coaching call is really a deep dive into the, patterns that actually are happening as they come up when you're thinking of flying or when you are flying. And so it really is a very, very different experience. And if you've never ever had it, for just $26, that's these days that might be an airport latte or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For sure.
definitely an airport snack. So it's really a very, very risk free way for you to actually experience that and give yourself the best support that you can have.
Yeah.
And
There's no reason to feel that you can't make this your next flight a better experience. And that's our goal, is to have your next flight be better than it was the last time. So thanks again, Dieter, and thanks to all of you for joining us this week. Thanks for spending part of your time with us tonight. I know showing up, especially when fear is involved, is not easy. And I always have people pat themselves on the back to remind yourself just how difficult it really is. And I truly appreciate both Dieter and I truly appreciate you showing up here. And whether you're at the very beginning of your journey or whether you've been working on it for a while, your presence matters. Showing up is 90% of the battle there. And you're not alone in this. And that's what we hope that you feel joining us every week like this. Fear flying can feel isolating. It's a terrible feeling when you think you're the only one out there. But this community, Fearless Flight community, and the Birds of a Feather, is proof that you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. So we'll be back next week, and every week for that matter, right here at Fearless Flight, and we'll continue these conversations. We'll continue to answer your questions, and we'll give you practical tools that you can use in your efforts real life. So you're welcome. You're always welcome to join us, and whether it's live or on the replay. And until then, be kind to yourself and don't beat yourself up when you get to those little missteps. Okay,
that's a
take
good
things
New
one
Year's
at a time.
resolution. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And take things one step at a time, and remember that you're just one flight away from Fearless Flight. And thanks again for being here, and I hope to see you guys again soon next week. On behalf of Dieter and I, good night. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And a big shout out to Kimberly and Roxana and Sandra and Sue, because you guys are the ones that we called upon and said you show up every week. And it's awesome. So appreciate it.